And if I had to be another person to stand up, if I think, after really going through this, and looking at the files and looking at the case, if I really feel that Karen Reed didn't do this and I have to be a voice that stands up and helps, I will.
We are expected to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
We're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
Just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life.
Yeah.
I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question. She asked a question, which is very different. She didn't admit to anything.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Karen Reed's not going to fold. Karen Reed's not going to give up. Defense team's not going to quit. The Free Karen Reed movement is going to continue. We will continue to raise funds for her. We will continue to do standouts across Massachusetts, across the nation, across the world to let everybody know what's going on here in the state of Massachusetts, the corruption. And we will continue to get the word out there. Believe me. Believe me. Wow. I went through like a really great monologue and I wasn't looking at the screen. So let's start over. Welcome in, everybody, to Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media channel. I am your host, Brian. So just fast forward to this point. Fast forward. I'll put a timestamp once this posts. But welcome in. I was talking about this morning the live show with Boston Mike and Tom. If you missed that, you have to go back and watch it. We talked a lot about geofencing and the possibilities that the defense may bring in to Karen Reed 2.0. And I talked about, if you don't want to go and scrub through it, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that clip out and re-upload it tomorrow, so you can check that out tomorrow morning. And then I'll be back here live at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with my friend Lauren DC, live here in studio. We're going to do an actual birthday celebration in here and go over Jennifer McCabe's cross-examination testimony. And what I've been doing is kind of replaying some of these cross-examinations. We can try to raise some money and some funds for Karen Read's defense fund. And her link is at the top of the chat. Just click on that in your comment if you can. Just type in LTL. If you make just even a $5 donation, it makes a huge world of a difference in her defense right now. And she needs us more than anything. I know there's like wonderful popcorn sales going on right now. Kelly Reed, Nick Rocco. If you're in the Justice for John O'Keefe, Free Karen Read Facebook group, you can do that as well. Just click on those links and get with an affiliated person that you want, and you'll have some great popcorn. So really excited to be here tonight. We are on the eve of my birthday. Tomorrow is my birthday. I'm super, super excited, and we're going to have a lot of fun. But what I wanted to do was I did do some writing today. If you haven't seen, I did update an article here today of an update on Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia. So I thought that we would start off with that and then get into Trooper Paul's cross-examination, try to raise some money for Karen throughout the stream. So nice to see everybody here. I'm going to share my screen here in a second, and we will go through this article. I'm going to read it really quick. And if you want to read it on your own time, you can post it up and do that as well. And thank you all for the happy birthdays. I appreciate that. So let's get into this. So 6 months later, unanswered questions surrounding Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia's tragic death and police academy culture. So it's been 6 months since Trooper Enrique Delgado-Garcia's tragically lost his life during what has been described as a, quote, defensive tactics training exercise at the Massachusetts State Police Academy in New Braintree. Yet, I have serious doubts that this explanation fully captures what happened to him. The prolonged delay in determining the official cause of death is disturbing. The prolonged delay in determining the official cause of death, the disturbing injury photos shared with me by his family, and the ongoing uncertainty about who, if anyone, will be held accountable only deepens these concerns. This situation is complex and troubling. Enrique was known for his determination and was deeply loved by his friends and family. As a victim advocate at the Worcester DA's office, he was committed to becoming a Massachusetts State trooper, driven by a firm dedication to serving his community with integrity, honesty, and respect for the law. In the months following his death, little has been done to address the state's police academy, the state police academy, but the state's police academy training practices. Recently, a newly opened police academy in East Falmouth was suspended, quote, due to concerns regarding inappropriate conduct by the academy staff. As a result, two senior figures, Director Christopher, Dunlin, and Academy Coordinator Edward A. Dunn, who served as Falmouth's police chief from 2013 to 2023, were suspended. While investigations are underway, these developments raise serious questions about the culture within the training facilities that were supposed to be prepared civilians to become law enforcement. Are these cadets truly being taught the right way? Delgado-Garcia himself had confided his family about the academy's environment, describing its hazing-like and torturous for weeks during his training. The extended timeline of the investigation into Delgado-Garcia's death, only with the overall culture of the state's police academies, and deeply concerning. In February of this year, Worcester Senator Michael Moore, Robin Kennedy, and Peter Durant sent an open letter to the Massachusetts Attorney General Andrew Candrell requesting an update to the status of the investigation. The senators pointed out the lingering questions, particularly allegations of hazing and harassment, that remain unanswered nearly 5 months later. They wrote, quote, Trooper Delgado-Garcia's family is patiently waiting for answers to some of the hardest questions they will ever have to ask. Any information will be able to be shared related to the status of the investigation. the estimated duration and any preliminary factual findings will be deeply appreciated. A few weeks ago, I had the privilege of having Senator Michael Moore on my channel and asked him if I could get him to urge David Meyer, the head of the special investigation team assigned by attorney Andrea Campbell, to provide answers more quickly. His response was, quote, we have to strike with a delicate balance. We want to push for progress, but we don't want to jeopardize the investigation. Now, I understand the need for delicate balance, but I refuse to accept another candidate should enter one of our Massachusetts police training facilities and fear for the safety of the risk of losing their life. The real question now is whether we are ready to peel back all the layers and fully investigate the policies and procedures of these academies. We cannot afford another tragedy like the death of Delgado-Garcia. It is time to root out the toxic, gang-like culture within our law enforcement ranks here in Massachusetts. Who is responsible for the failures within the system? Who will be held accountable? Will these issues be properly investigated, addressed, and ultimately changed? Can we trust our government to do what is right? Given the history of policing in our state, the answers to those questions terrify me. And if you want, you can click there on the GoFundMe link. Again, I dropped the link to this article in the chat. Please review it and share it. It's very important. Donna Roach kicking off with a $10 happy early birthday, Brian. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into Pooper Traul. See if we can raise some money for Karen tonight. I'm in for the long haul here. I'm going to be here a while. Let's watch this guy absolutely collapse on the stand when AJ gets a hold of him. Here we go.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Okay, cross-examination.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Crank up the sound. Answer's not in that bottle. The Goodmans, thank you so much for the one gifted.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of mathematics?
I do not.
Do you hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of physics?
I do not.
Hold any degrees in the scientific discipline of biomechanics?
No.
How about in engineering?
No.
How about in kinematics?
No.
What's the highest degree that you do hold, sir?
I have an associate's degree.
In what?
Administration of Justice.
You mentioned kinematics on Friday. Do you hold any certificates in the specific area of kinematics?
Yes, it's covered in the basic crash investigation classes.
Okay, so you took a class, in other words, correct?
Multiple classes.
You introduced the idea of what kinematics is, right?
Correct.
You testified about that on Friday.
Yes.
Define kinematics, George.
It deals with the aspect of motion.
It's a subfield of what? Broader field.
Kinematics?
Kinematics is a subfield of what broader discipline of science?
I'm not sure.
Big physics, correct?
Yes.
And it describes how points and objects and systems of objects, how they move, and how the rate they move and the rate of their velocity, correct?
It deals with emotions.
What's that called? The rate of velocity. What's another word for that?
The rate of velocity?
Right.
I mean, it deals with the motion. It deals with forward and also deals with speed. It deals with travel and speed. If something's moving, it also has a speed to it.
Right. The word you're looking for is acceleration, correct?
Sure.
What role does acceleration play in the field of kinematics?
What role does acceleration play in kinematics?
Right.
It talks about, like you just said, it talks about the speed and talks about motion.
Is kinematics also known as the geometry of motion?
Thank you, Goodmans.
I have not heard that.
Never heard that. What's the difference between constrained
Thank
and
you.
unconstrained motion?
Welcome in.
Constrained and unconstrained motion?
That's what I asked.
Constrained motion.
Thank you.
I can't recollect at the moment.
Constrained motion is motion on a predetermined path, isn't it?
Yes.
Unconstrained motion is what?
When it doesn't have a predetermined path?
Free movement, correct?
Correct.
You can remember that from your class?
For the most part, we don't go that in depth, constrained and unconstrained.
Constrained and unconstrained, not restrained.
That's what I said. Sorry, unconstrained. Yes.
Kinematics uses algebraic formula to model these motions, right? The motions of these points, systems of points, correct?
Yes.
And it includes concepts like displacement and speed, velocity, distance, acceleration, which we've talked about, correct?
Correct.
And it looks at how these things, these values vary over a point in time or duration in time. Is that right? Do
Yes.
you actually understand the physics behind the study of kinematics?
Yes.
Or did you learn in class?
Yes, we had to go over the physics part of it.
On Friday, you said that this incident is a pedestrian strike from a vehicle. You reiterated.
We asked him what kinematics was, asked what it was a subcategory of, and the answer was physics. And then he said, "Yeah, well, we went over physics." I'm sure that you would have heard about I'll get it out. I promise.
That again. Is that right?
Correct.
I want to be clear. That is your opinion based on your training and experience, correct?
Yes.
And on Friday, you said you based that opinion on the fact that you noted a half-mile-an-hour decrease in speed and a steering input of less than 10 degrees at some point.
Because there's no other fucking guy that's willing to do it. There's no other fucking guy that they're gonna sit down and pressure into. I guarantee Morsi was in that room and he's like, "You're fucking doing this." I mean, that's who this guy is. That's my thoughts on all of that. And again, just being on the witness list doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be called back, but who knows? But I think that this guy was strong-armed. I think he became the guy. They needed someone to throw up there. And obviously you can see he's not skilled at all in anything that he did. He doesn't understand physics at all. He doesn't understand any of the language that AJ is talking about. He's a completely worthless witness. Probably one of the worst for the Commonwealth in this trial. Literally, probably the worst. Now, I don't see how you sit here as a jury and go, "Oh yeah, that guy right there, he's got it down." Totally believable. And you're going to see that later on when we get into the pirouette.
And that reverse motion, correct?
I said it was consistent. That data point in general was consistent with something that you would see within data of a pedestrian striker striking something else. I do go in my report saying I can't say that's definitively where a pedestrian was struck, but
I'm sorry.
it wasn't definitively. Sorry, in my report, I do say I can't say that is definitively where the pedestrian struck.
You cannot say.
Definitively, yes.
Okay, so you're going to have to slow down and speak up, okay?
All right.
You said, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, and I apologize.
Okay.
You said you cannot say definitively that resulted in a pedestrian strike.
That data point within the text stream data is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That specific points, that time frame.
Because there's a multitude of reasons why when someone is driving in reverse, they might slow down by a half a mile an hour, right?
It's when I say when it's consistent is because there's the other aspects of it is the fact that the accelerator is consistently strong.
Let him answer. Finish your answer.
So the accelerator is at a constant rate, and then it just drops by half a mile, and the steering wheel all of a sudden abruptly goes to the right. That's what I'm talking about when I say it is consistent with a pedestrian strike. That's something that you would see. It's not going to be a huge change of speed during this collision.
You also note that at the time, it had begun to snow, correct?
Yes.
There would be snow on the lawn, right?
Correct.
There would be snow on the cars,
Yes.
snow on the trees,
Yes.
snow on the roadway.
Yes.
Snow on the roadway could impact how tires move over the roadway, correct?
In a way.
And obviously, there are a multitude of reasons why somebody might input a 10-degree input on a steering wheel, correct?
Correct. That's why I said I couldn't definitely say it.
Right.
Real quick, Jason checking in to $5. Thank you so much. Says, what is very sad is that this is my daughter and was struck and killed by a car and killed. A trooper like this who will be doing the recon for court. God help us. That's a good point. It's a really good point. Imagine this guy being the crash scene reconstructionist and having to reconstruct all of this together for a court hearing or to go to a parent and say, this is the way that it happened. Would you trust him? God, exactly. God help us.
So every time somebody
Yikes.
slows down, going in reverse or forward, and introduces a 10-degree input on the steering wheel, doesn't mean they're looking to hit a pedestrian, correct?
Correct.
You testified that you determined the area of impact by basically following, if I heard your testimony correctly, basically following the debris field from the body from where you believed John O'Keefe's body's final resting place was, almost linearly to the furthermost piece of debris that was found. Did I get that right?
Yes.
In other words, you established what in your mind, or what you were told was his final resting place, and what you were told was the debris field. And you indicated that the furthermost piece of debris would basically be the area, right?
It's within that line. I didn't say that is the area impact where the furthermost piece of evidence is.
All right.
It's just the linear, like you said earlier, it's that linear. We're going that path. That's the path that he traveled post impact with the vehicle.
And that is on which that fact that you stated is on which what you, it's a terrible question. That's the basis for your opinion of where the area of impact is, correct?
Yes.
Let's take a look at exhibit, with the court's permission, 587. It's your diagram 3. If I may approach you on this verb.
Okay.
He's already nervous.
May I approach?
Yes.
So you can see it. Your Honor, may you publish exhibit 587?
Yes.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Sir, you see diagram 3 on the board. You
It's like-
correct?
Yes.
It's easier.
This is something that you would probably do in 5th grade. 5th grade. Name all the continents. That's what it looks like to me. Write in the continents on the map. Oh boy. Oh boy.
If you refer to what's in front of you, because that's a little bit further away, just let me know.
Okay.
The red arrows adjacent to the blue writing, where I'm highlighting right now, indicate basically the debris field that you explained to the jurors on Friday, correct?
Yes.
And then there's a point of an arrow that comes back to a wording that says pedestrian's final rest, basically right there, correct?
Yes.
And the debris field ends right in the middle of that spotlight, correct?
Yes.
All right. So that's the area of impact that you indicated to Mr. Lally you believe occurred because of the debris field and the linear portion of that debris field going from the pedestrian's final rest all the way out to that final little red arrow that says red plastic B.
Oh my God.
Correct?
Yes.
Jonah, can we have exhibit 492 published to the jury, please?
Okay.
Approach.
Yes.
While that's coming up, have you ever seen this?
No, I haven't.
Take a look just above the arrow. You're on the court permission, maybe highlight or magnify the area just above the arrow.
Okay.
You see that
Yes, I do.
right underneath fire hydrant, correct?
Correct.
What does that look like to you?
A piece of plastic.
It's debris, correct?
Correct.
All right. Can we go back with the court's permission to exhibit 87?
Okay.
Diagram 2. You see the fire hydrant?
Yes.
Fire hydrant's right there, correct?
Correct.
That's another, according to your scale, that's probably a good 30 feet from the pedestrian's final rest, correct?
Yeah, that's about right.
So that is the furthermost in this diagram, the furthermost piece of debris on the diagram, correct?
Correct.
So now your testimony changed that this, in fact, is the area of impact.
No,
Why not?
because it's just a piece of debris. I'm talking about the path. You follow the path of debris field. Debris can move and change.
The debris doesn't fly backward, does it?
I'm saying you pointed to like just the fire hydrant as the area impact where the debris, where that one piece of plastic was, saying that's the area impact is right next to the fire hydrant.
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah, that's what you said, right?
I'm asking you,
I'm making sure I'm understanding what you're saying so I can answer the right.
Ask the question again, Mr. Jackson.
in fact, you indicated on Friday that your analysis of the area of impact was predicated on, based on, the furthermost piece of debris from the pedestrian's body that you were aware of, which is right there. Red plastic B, correct?
I said well, I said you said earlier with the linear equation. I mean, it might have moved it over more, but it's the debris, the start of that debris when that is. I can't say that's definitely the point of area impact or the point of impact. I cannot say that is the point of impact right there. You just kind of follow the linear path because they have to follow in a direct path that way.
Okay, so now your testimony is that's not the area of impact.
I never said that was the area impact. I said it's after that.
Trooper, we were all here on Friday.
Okay.
That's exactly what you said in the questioning by Mr. Wiley, wasn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Oh,
Didn't you say on Friday that you determined the area of impact for Mr. O'Keefe? The point of impact was red plastic B because that was the furthermost piece of debris you were aware of from the point, finding the point of rest from Mr. O'Keefe's body.
That doesn't make any
Isn't that what you
sense.
said?
I don't believe that's my exact words.
Okay, I'm not asking if it was your exact words. I don't have a transcript of it. I'm asking you, is that what you tried to impart to the jurors?
What I said to the jury, I said after that. That's the start of that's the last point of evidence that I had. I said the area impact is probably along the roadway after that point. I mean, like before it. We have to walk towards him.
I'm sorry, I keep doing that because I think you're done. Are you done?
I am done now, sir.
Now you're aware that there's a piece of debris, looks like taillight material, right under the fire hydrant.
Guess what?
Correct.
If the area impact, which you indicated on Friday, was where this red plastic B is, you would be wrong, right? Your analysis would be flawed.
No, because that's not what I said. I said it's along the roadway and it's going to be after that point.
Okay, so is the area of impact now where the fire hydrant is?
Objection.
Ask it differently.
Are you now indicating, because now you realize that there's a piece of debris directly under the fire hydrant, are you now indicating that that's the area of impact where John O'Keefe's body was struck?
Objection.
Sustained.
Let's take a look at exhibit, with the court's permission, 279.
Okay.
Scott.
Take a look at exhibit 279. I want to draw your attention to that piece right there, okay, of plastic. You see it?
Yes.
You describe it for me. Just physically, what does that look like?
It looks like clear plastic with a little bit of red and black on the top part.
Okay, maybe in a triangular shape. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. Now, if we could go back to, with the court's permission, exhibit 492.
Okay.
And highlight just above the ruler. How would you describe that piece of material?
It looks like the same piece.
Does that, based on that, does that appear to be part of the taillight material that was found at the scene?
Correct.
Okay. Now, based on that, are you now suggesting, if we could go with the court's permission, if we could go back to 587, I'll stop jumping around just a second. I think we
Okay.
just get back to 587. Oh, sorry, the diagram. Thanks. Okay. Now, seeing what you just now seen in terms of that piece of plastic that appears to be from the taillight, does that appear to be under the fire hydrant, which is highlighted? Same piece.
Yes.
Okay. Based on that, does that change your opinion? Is that now the fire hydrant now point of impact?
No.
Where is the point of impact now?
It's along the roadway. I don't know the exact point of impact. Can I?
So you don't know the area of impact.
I said the area impact is along the roadway after the debris.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing it would change, only thing it would change is maybe it's a little further away. But besides that, it's a linear field. I'm not talking about like one point. It's you kind of follow the middle of the debris field, and that should be the path.
Well, if the point of impact is along the roadway, where along the roadway, you can show the jurors where along the roadway, in your expert opinion, was the point of impact.
Oh,
It should be within, if you follow from pedestrians, find rest.
in your expert opinion. Ouch. Oh, AJ, nasty.
Here, just kind of follow back. That's what I'm talking about, linear field. I can,
So now you've indicated an area, if I can follow your laser pointer, an area along here, correct?
yes, somewhere in there.
All right, if I have my spotlight, is that, if I leave it right there, is that about where the middle of the spotlight, about where you believe the area of impact is?
It's within, I guess you can say it's within that area. I don't know, definitely there's nothing on the roadway that has a definitive point that says this is the area impact right here. It's within the roadway based on the evidence at the scene.
Mr. Paul, sorry, Trooper Paul.
That doesn't make any
Based on
sense.
your expert opinion and your
That doesn't make any sense when I look at that diagram. It doesn't make any sense. So you're saying that impacted and then those fucking pieces flew like 100 feet? Doesn't make any sense.
based on your full analysis, can you point me to within an area of 5 feet or so on the roadway where you believe the area of impact is. Is my spotlight basically highlighting the area that you believe, in your opinion, is the area of impact?
You have that laser pointer?
I do.
Why don't we let him show you? It'd be easier for the jury to see.
So what I'm trying to say is, so we follow the linear path.
I actually get a migraine
around this area.
listening to this guy.
And sorry, I'm trying to keep it straight as much as I can.
Well, it's because you're
Follow
nervous.
back to here. I can't say like if this definitely is, but it's possibly based on also vehicle damage to the back of the vehicle. So if we follow all the way back to here, that could be a possible area impact.
So when you say that area there, I want to be very clear for the record that what you highlighted is an area basically just to the left of an X that's on the roadway, on the bottom of diagram 3.
Good point.
It's
Correct?
you would
I
use
like this. Can you imagine Arca watching this? Yeah, exactly.
your circle almost kind of be a good area around.
From a fragment.
You can use a circle around here. This would be around the area.
Okay.
Okay.
So using your scale, that scale is going from full left to full right, plus or minus 40 feet, right?
Switch. Can't see it.
Oh God, this is so
So,
bad.
so say again. Say the question.
That scale is 40 feet. Going full left, full right, 40 feet.
It's 40 feet. It's a 10-foot scale.
Okay, sorry, 20 feet. My mistake.
That was okay.
As a terrible. 20 feet. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so
So
much.
if you use that scale.
Trying to get
you
the hair to
estimate
grow
the
back
jurors.
in.
I'm just going to use this X as a starting point. You estimate for the jurors from this X that I've highlighted. The pedestrian's final rest. What's that number? Doesn't have to be exact. Give me an estimate.
So I mean, it could be within 30 feet because I tell you this. Also on my scale, this 2 and 3 is 50 feet from each other.
Is how much?
50.
50.
50.
50.
Would you agree that from this X down here to pedestrian's final rest, as a crow flies, that's probably a good 35, 40 feet.
I mean, I could try to use the scale. But it is a scale.
If you wouldn't mind. You need this paper?
Yes, please.
Oh my God. We're grabbing. We're gonna grab protractors.
I'd like this paper.
Oh man.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
You need
I-
a pen?
I got one. Thank you.
I feel like I'm watching a 5th grade student, and I think AJ is doing a great job of making him look like a 5th grade student. Literally, that's what I feel like I'm watching. Oh my God, this is bad. How did the jury believe this? Like, yeah, that's the guy we're gonna roll with.
It's around. It's approximately 30 feet.
God, he is nervous.
Can you place, with the court's permission, can you estimate 30 feet in here?
Can I
Can you point to a place in the courtroom that looks like it's 30 feet from you?
Objection.
No. Next question.
Does the court have a diagram of the diagram of distances?
In this courtroom? No.
You indicated just now, and then I'm finished with this. Thank you. Thanks. You indicated just now in answer to Mr. Lowry's last couple of questions,
Answer's not in that
and
bottle.
in your expert opinion, when the SUV struck the pedestrian, John O'Keefe, he was, quote, projected forward and to the left to the front yard to his final place of rest.
Yes.
So your expert testimony is that John O'Keefe was hit with the SUV and flew 30 feet.
Projected. I mean, like he. I don't say he flew all the way there. He was projected in that way. He got pushed forward in that direction.
Which he was rendered incapacitated, landed there, that's sort of fly there, correct? Didn't walk there.
I mean, was you definitely flying like literally off the ground the whole entire time, or?
Well, you tell me. You're the expert.
Yeah, you're the
I mean, he got,
expert.
when we say projected, we mean he gets projected, and they usually have a landing phase, and they land, and they either roll or tumble to final rest.
Okay. How far do you think he landed? How far was it until he landed of that 30 feet?
I don't know. There's no indication of where his exact landing spot was,
Was there any evidence whatsoever that he landed and rolled?
and there was no evidence that he landed or rolled, or no, rolled.
According to you, the evidence that you have in front of you is that you get hit, fly 30 feet, land where he ended up in his final rest, right?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
Based on your expert opinion, you believe that he was projected through the air to his final rest place.
That's not what I'm saying,
But you said there's no evidence that he rolled.
and there's no evidence that he flew through the air either.
Exactly.
Ah,
Right? Exactly.
objection.
Sustained.
Got him to say it.
You said on Friday that in your experience, people tend to lose objects that are not strapped to them. Is that right?
Yes.
In other words, get hit by something, car, truck, bus, whatever, train, and if you have something in your hand, boom, you lose it, you drop it. If it's not strapped to you, correct?
Correct.
How do you suppose that Mr. O'Keefe, in your opinion, held on to that glass cup that was found right next to him over the course of 30 feet being projected?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Do you have a theory on that?
Oh, here we go.
I don't know. I mean, it just could have been with them the whole way. I don't know.
It could have just been with them the whole way. I don't know. It just could have been with them the whole way. Oh boy, this is
Wasn't
bad.
there, so I don't know how the glass stayed with his body and went with him to the final rest.
So
With them.
I mean, it's just common sense. You have to believe it was in his hand. He held on to it the entire time he was being projected.
It's possibly, it could have been his hand, it could have been tucked next to his clothing. Did
you say tucked into?
I mean, like, could have been next to his body. So when he projected, the glass was with his body as it was also flying. So there's a number of reasons why the glass, because it also got projected with the body while he was holding it.
I thought you said on Friday, and you disagreed with me, that people drop things when they're hit.
Yes, body not everything it tends to fly off. I mean, some stuff flies off, some stuff will stay on. It's not uncommon to find piece of clothing and stuff,
Stuff
that you find at the scene. Like clothing, like shoes, like shoes and stuff like that to come off the body during a pedestrian crash.
Well, that's not what I asked.
I know, I'm just saying, you asked me, you said what I'm just responding to what you said. And trying to make sure you understand what I'm saying.
No, I don't, but I'll ask another question.
No, I don't.
Right?
No,
Yes, but it's very common for shoes to come off.
How about a cell phone?
Yeah.
Cell phone, yeah, it depends. Depends on where it is.
Well, it was under his body.
Okay.
How do you account for that? He held on to a cell phone with one hand and held on to a cup.
Yeah.
Objection.
Sustained. Ask it differently.
If the cell phone was found under his torso, under his body, what's your theory on how that cell phone ended up flying 30 feet?
It just did.
Just did. And somehow, as he landed, tucked that cell phone underneath his body so it landed on top of it.
It just did. That's the evidence at the scene. I didn't put the evidence there. So
Well, you didn't.
Objection.
All right. So jurors, I've told you before, lawyers cannot make comments. So disregard it. Mr. Jackson, don't do it again.
I understand. So
You understand, but don't do it. Your answer is always, I understand. Don't do it.
Yes, sure. Cell phone in one hand, cup in the other hand, flew through the air, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
You were informed of this incident on January 29th, 2022 at about 2:30 in the afternoon. Is that right?
yes,
At the time, you were working out of the CARS facility, which is located on West Grove Street in Middleborough. Is that right?
yes,
By the way, that's a facility that has multiple garages. Sally ports, I don't know if they're called Sally ports, but garage bays, correct?
the mechanic shop are there.
The mechanic shop
Yes,
is, if you're going to review, for instance, for purposes of reconstruction, if you're going to review a vehicle, is the vehicle placed in those mechanics bays?
no, not there. That's for state police vehicles.
Okay, so where are the mechanics bays? Sorry, reverse that. Where are the Sally ports where you do your analysis, your reconstruction, your review of the vehicle, inspections, things of that nature?
We don't have Sally ports for that.
You don't have anything dedicated to that?
No, the only time we would use a Sally port is the crime scene would have some Sally ports that they would do to document their crime scene stuff. And I've gone there to do my inspections, but most of our inspections are done either at the tow yard or some type of facility for that.
Ultimately, was this SUV ever taken to the Middleborough facility?
Yes, it was.
Where was it placed?
There's a fenced-in area inside it's a fenced-in area
Is it outside or inside?
outside.
Okay. Did it remain outside in that fenced-in area the whole time?
I don't know the exact time. It was there for a while, then it got moved.
Where did it get moved to?
I'm not sure exactly where they moved it immediately after it left Middleborough.
Are you familiar with the Foxborough location?
Yes.
Does that have Sally ports or bays for inspection and evaluation?
It has garages in it, but we wouldn't use them. We don't normally use those garages for inspections.
Is it possible to use those garages for inspections?
It is possible.
Okay. It's happened before, correct?
I've not used the inspection in the garages.
But
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up and
Sorry,
speak
yes.
slowly.
but you know they could be used.
Sorry.
You know that those bays could be used for inspections or analysis or evaluation if needed, correct?
Yes.
All right. Given the fact that the SUV that was being seized on January 29th was being seized as potential evidence, best practices would suggest that you want to get it in and out of the bad weather, the inclement weather, as quickly as possible, correct? You wouldn't want to subject it to continued forces from nature like rain, wind, snow, sleet, hail, right?
That would be beneficial, yes.
All right. You're aware that the Foxborough location and the Middleborough location with the mechanics base are all closer
I was
to
saying,
Dighton
closer.
than Canton,
Yep.
right?
Both Foxborough and
Foxborough and Middleborough are both closer to Dighton than Canton. In other words, you have to pass by, depending on which way you go, pass by Middleborough, pass by Foxborough to get to Canton.
so from where?
From Dighton, sorry.
So from Dighton.
Where the vehicle was seized. In
Yeah.
Dighton, all going toward Canton, you pass by either Middleborough or Foxborough to get to Canton, right?
I don't believe you'd pass by Middleborough to get to Canton, but you've passed by Foxborough.
The car was not taken to Foxborough, was it?
No.
As a matter of fact, the car was taken basically double the distance all the way to Canton to that Sally Port, correct?
Objection.
Do you know that? Is that double the distance?
I don't know the exact distance. I know it was in Canton.
And you know it's fine,
Come on, dude.
From Dighton, yes.
right?
Oh,
And you're also aware that because you've been to the scene, assuming correct, the 34th Fairview,
Yes, I have.
and you've been to Canton PD.
Yes, I have.
You know those two locations are about 3-4 minutes apart.
Yeah, I can say that.
When you started let me ask this a little bit different way. Before you began any review on this case, any physical review on this case or analysis on the case, you were told that there had been a crash, correct?
Yes.
You testified to that at the state court grand jury in this matter. Is that right? That you've been told in advance this was a vehicle pedestrian crash and you were asked to analyze it, right?
Yes.
You wrote in your report that it was a single vehicle collision
Well,
involving
he's on the witness list. Doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to be called, but chances are they're going to bring this clown back. Oh boy.
a pedestrian and you were, quote, assigned to reconstruct that collision, correct?
Yes.
So when you began your analysis,
Excuse me.
you were told conclusively by the lead investigator, Michael Proctor, that the deceased was hit by a car and your job was to reconstruct it. Is that right?
Objection.
Okay, so there are lots of parts to that. Break it down.
Sure. Were you told by Michael Proctor to reconstruct this incident?
Objection.
So were you told that by Trooper Proctor?
I was not.
Okay, next question.
Sure. Who were you given your instructions by
Instructions for what?
to reconstruct this incident?
I wasn't given instructions to reconstruct it. It's just I was assigned to it.
Right.
That was requested. My assistance was requested to reconstruct it.
That's my question. Who assigned you to it?
I talked to my sergeant at the time who gave me the phone call.
And you were told some basics about that reconstruction, the event that you were asked to reconstruct, correct?
Yes.
The information that you were told came from the case officer. Is that right?
Who's the case officer?
The information that this was a pedestrian vehicle incident, as opposed to
Oh, yeah, I love that.
pedestrian bicycle, motor vehicle, motorcycle. You were told it was a motor vehicle pedestrian incident that you were asked to reconstruct, correct?
Yeah, I was told that. Yes.
All right, and you had to be given some basic parameters of what that incident, how that incident occurred. Car was going in reverse. It's got a damaged taillight, things like that.
Some basic stuff. Yeah.
What I'm trying to get to is, who gave you that information? Where'd it come from?
That the car was traveling in like which part of the information you asked me at several different things just now.
Were you given information from multiple sources? Or did someone give you a summary of what you were being asked to do at the very beginning?
Yep.
Who gave you the summary
Thank you, Kim.
Summary of the whole entire of what?
of the event that you were asked to reconstruct?
I was passed down when I got to the garage. That there was nobody that sat there and gave me the summary like that I can remember. I was told that it was a pedestrian crash. I knew it was a Boston police officer involved. That this was the vehicle, and that it was traveling in reverse. That's all they had.
Okay. What I'm asking is, that's great. Thank you for the summary. Who gave you that summary?
I don't know if it was definitely anybody from the get-go that was like I talked to.
From where?
I don't know if it's anybody that I could definitely say that was the person. There was multiple people going around when I got there. I think I talked to Trooper Zach Clark. He was doing the crime scene. I think he was Zach Clark. He was the crime scene photos at the time. I knew him from past crashes. He just said this is the vehicle, and I think he kind of gave me a little bit of a lowdown on what the vehicle was.
Okay.
So
My question is this. When you got that, did you call it a lowdown? He gave you the lowdown?
he gave me information. Yes.
Right. When you got the lowdown, you were told Boston police officer was involved.
Oh no.
Vehicle pedestrian incident. Car was going in reverse.
Oh, the lowdown.
Struck the pedestrian in reverse, correct?
Correct.
All right.
What we should have done is we should have. I have to do this. All right. Shit, I don't have a pen here. Fuck. I want to. Oh, I do have a pen. All right. Let's write some of the Trooper Paul terms. Let's see. Trooper Paul terms. All right. So, what did he say? What was the one I had? Crime scene stuff. He uses stuff a lot. He's got stuff. He's got lowdown. Did I miss any? It just did. Do we get to it just did? The lowdown. I like that one. Oh, it just did. Yeah. We haven't heard that one yet. We got to wait until we hear it. So I've got crime scene stuff. We got stuff because he says that one a lot. And the lowdown. I like the lowdown. And then we'll vote at the end what our favorite term is. All right. I got 3 of them. I got crime scene stuff, just stuff, and then the lowdown. I like the lowdown so far. All right, we'll coin some of these phrases.
Specifically to try to reconstruct that incident.
Yes.
Let's see.
Have you ever heard of the phrase confirmation bias?
Oh, here we go.
I know the phrase, yes.
You know what it means?
I can't definitely say what it means.
Developing a conclusion and then trying to find evidence to fit that conclusion. Does that sound right?
You say so.
You noted
Definitively. He says that a lot,
in your
too.
direct examination that there were scratches on the passenger side rear bumper of the Lexus, correct?
Yes.
How exactly were you able to scientifically determine that any of those scratches were from an incident on January 29th?
Yeah, I got that. I just put that one in, Trevor. Yeah, I got that one in there. Thank you for the $2. I appreciate it. Yeah, definitively. Yeah, I got that one. He does. So I'm making a little Word document here. So we got it just did. We didn't get to it just did yet, but we'll get to all these. I promise.
Any other time?
Did he say it just did? All right.
I didn't have anything else on the time. Is that those scratches happened prior to this collision?
I'm sorry.
I didn't have any information that those scratches were caused from a prior collision. And so when I looked at the evidence, I knew it was in that same area, the right rear tail light. So when I looked at it, it didn't quite fit the pedestrian thing. So when you showed me the video, or so I saw the video like a year ago on Court TV, I said that could be.
You asked the question, so next, keep going. He's answering. Next question. Then
Yes,
go
I
ahead.
scientifically
Hold on.
thought the scratches were.
Hold on. Ask
Sorry.
the question, Mr. Jackson.
He said pedestrian
You know
thing.
normal wear and tear on a vehicle is, right?
Yes,
Bumpers get scratched myriad ways, correct?
correct.
Scratched in a grocery store parking lot, right?
Yes.
Shopping cart can bounce off the back of the car and scratch the bumper. Scratch
The pedestrian thing. Oh, God.
Sure.
I mean, I
This
don't
is
go
good.
through it, but there's thousands and thousands and thousands of ways that a car can get a scratch, correct?
Correct.
My question is, as you sit here, do you have any scientific evidence that those scratches occurred on January 29th at approximately 12:45 a.m.?
What do you mean by scientific evidence?
Do you have any evidence whatsoever that you can point to that those scratches occurred on that date and at that time, rather than any other time in the history of that vehicle?
Like I said earlier, the video seems to appear that's what it looks like that could have been from.
Well, you said on Friday, let's talk about those scratches for a second.
Yeah.
You testified Friday, you were pretty clear. You said that, if I can find it exactly. I may have just a moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
You said, quote, the dent and scratches
Uh-oh.
on his hand could be, those are consistent with striking the Lexus. Remember saying that?
Yes, on the tailgate.
Okay, so the dent and scratches you talked about on Friday, you said were from his hand.
Yes, hand in the glass cup.
Okay. Then are those the same scratches you're talking about in terms of the bumper?
No.
So,
What are you talking about? The scratch inside the bumper that we've been talking about?
correct.
Okay,
That's what I'm
no.
asking about. Okay. Is there any way to scientifically date a scratch?
Uh-oh.
No.
If you go out the parking lot right now, even as an accident reconstructionist, you walk out the parking lot right now and look at a Toyota Camry sitting there. It's got a scratch on it. There's no analysis that you could engage in to date that scratch, could you?
Objection.
So you can ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Is there any way that you could, in general, look at a scratch and say, that scratch is from such and such date?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Nothing more.
I'll allow it.
You cannot say. You can look at evidence and shows that it may have been older than what the newer evidence would be, but there's no way to say that specific date and time and that a scratch would came from.
Right. And it's possible that any or all of those scratches on the Lexus could have predated January 29th, correct?
No,
That's not possible.
the ones that are on from the taillight and the other parts of it
Scratches anywhere on the car.
depends on what you got to pick the other scratches. You got to show me other scratches on the car.
I'm saying it's possible, since you can't date the scratch, it's possible that any or all of those scratches could predate January 29th. It's a simple question, right? It's possible.
You're being pretty broad on your scratches here.
I'm not being brought. Let me ask it a different way. Let me ask it again. Is it possible that any or all of the scratches noted on that car predate January 29th?
Any and all of the scratches? See, that's what I'm saying. You're being pretty broad. Any and all scratches on the car
Answer that question.
that it predate.
Objection.
I don't know every single scratch on that car. I mean,
Overruled. So can you answer that question?
no.
Well, see, this is the funny thing about it. You know, what I've noticed is, you know, in these, when there's objections from the Commonwealth, she fucking helps the witnesses. She gets them out of the bind. She just did it right there. Can you answer that question? No. Okay, move on. She does not allow these witnesses to be pressured at all and answer to the tough questions. Like, answer it, dude. You said you're the crime scene reconstructionist here. Give us your answer. How did you do it? How did you process it? And she's did that through this whole entire trial.
You testified that you noted
It's
glass
insane.
on the rear bumper of the SUV, correct?
Yes.
And you said something about that glass coming from the cup.
Correct.
You also said that you did not see anything on that SUV that could be the source of those glass pieces on the bumper, right?
Yes.
Excuse
When you
me.
did your reconstruction and your analysis, were you informed that none of the glass pieces, not one of them, would be matched to a cup?
Uh-oh.
I don't know anything about that. I don't know that.
So if you knew that the glass pieces on the bumper do not match the cup, that change your opinion
Objection.
about that glass?
Can you answer that question?
I cannot.
I cannot. Can you answer that question? Would it change your? Can you answer the question? I cannot. It's just the easy way out. Easy way out.
It's what was told to me as evidence
Got it. By whom?
by the crime scene.
Oh,
Who told you?
As crime scene that was there, it says it's glass from the cup. When I did my initial inspection, that's what it was on from.
That's not what you just said. You said that's what was told to me.
Yeah, by crime. Yeah, I said by crime scene. While I was at my inspection,
Wait, what?
it was told to me by the crime scene when I was at my inspection, at the initial inspection.
So what you meant by that's what was told to me is the crime scene talked to you.
Yes.
Crime scene say anything else?
I don't know what else you want me to say.
I'm gonna. Okay. The quote we're gonna put up there is, "The crime scene spoke to him." So we've got Trooper Paul quotes, crime scene stuff. He loves using just the word stuff a lot. The lowdown, definitively, it just did the pedestrian thing, and the crime scene spoke to him. All right, we got good ones. We got good ones.
Trooper Proctor tell you that those pieces of glass on the bumper?
Oh, this is
somehow
fun.
associated with the cup?
No.
Just the crime scene told you.
Correct.
But if you knew that the crime scene,
Oh gosh.
and in fact, the glass
Exactly.
pieces don't match the cup, would that change your opinion?
Objection.
Sustained.
Would it change your opinion in any way if you knew that the glass pieces do not match the cup?
Wow.
Objection.
I'll allow that. Can you answer that question?
No.
I'm sorry. No, No,
I don't. It's glass from a cup. It's glass. It's not. It doesn't belong to the vehicle.
Right.
It's glass.
But if I told you it didn't match that cup,
What?
your opinion.
Objection.
Does that change your opinion?
Are we talking which cup? We never established which cup we're talking about.
How many cups have we been talking about, Trooper?
You said that cup. One from the scene. Okay.
That cup. I'm talking
I just want to make sure that we're on the clear path here. On the clear what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Okay. All I said, it's
It was found next to John O'Keefe's body in the snow at 34 Fairview on January 29, 2022. You got the cup in mind?
Yes.
Okay. That's the cup. When I say cup, that's the cup.
Okay.
Would it change your opinion if I told you that the glass pieces on the bumper
Don't match.
that cup?
What's my opinion on it? All I said was glass from a cup. That's the only opinion I had. It's glass from a cup that was on a bumper.
Are you saying a cup?
A cup. A cup. It's not glass from the car. That was my opinion on it. I didn't never said it matched to the scene.
You did.
I never said that in my thing. I said it's glass from a cup.
In my thing. I never said that in my thing. It's always his thing. So let's quote that one. I never said that in my thing. I like that one too. So we have crime scene stuff. We have stuff. The lowdown, definitively, it just did. The pedestrian thing, the crime scene spoke to him, and I never said it in my thing. Oh, these are good ones. We're gonna have to post these up later. I'll post them up on X or on my Facebook page, so you can all go back and refer to these. Oh God, this is brutal. It's
Okay.
the answer's not in that bottle.
It's safe to say you didn't do any testing to determine the forces necessary to shatter a taillight on a 2021
Holy smokes.
Lexus 570, right?
I did not do testing.
I do not do testing.
Your report indicates, we talked about this a little bit. I'm going to go back to something we talked about earlier this morning. Your report indicates that John O'Keefe came into his final resting place about 7 feet from the roadway, and that's what you based your diagram on, correct?
Yes.
Who told you that number?
I measured it from my diagram.
You should say that again.
I measured it from the diagram.
Okay, what I'm asking is how did it get on the diagram? In other words, who told you that his body was 7 feet from the roadway?
Well, wait, I was told by Lieutenant, was it Gallagher, Paul Gallagher, Captain PT. He told me this is where the body was found. So I used my devices to mark that location.
Okay, but before you used your devices, he just pointed someplace on the ground and said he was about here, correct?
That's correct.
Did Lieutenant Gallagher tell you that Lieutenant Gallagher never saw John O'Keefe in place at the scene? Did he say that?
No.
Did Lieutenant Gallagher tell you that the first officer on the scene estimated his body being approximately 15 to 20 feet from the roadway?
No.
If he had told you that, then it changed your diagram?
Objection.
He told me this is where he's found. I marked that location. That's all that was.
And you marked basically every other piece of item. Sorry, that's a terrible question. Every other item you marked based on a distance from where you were told John O'Keefe's body came to rest, correct?
Yes.
And that was by Lieutenant Gallagher just pointing at the ground, saying it was about here.
Correct.
What I wonder what he's
Was
thinking.
there a
when he's
single
sitting-
member of the team that was out when you were being shown where the body came to rest? Was there a single member of that team who actually said they saw John O'Keefe's body in place?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
From, what do you mean team? Canton PD?
Whoever was there, who was there with you when you started doing your measurements, et cetera? Airport Fairview.
It's Lieutenant Gallagher. That's who.
Just you and him?
And myself and I was training the trooper at the time. She was there.
You were training a trooper at the time?
Yes.
Okay, so my mistake. I assumed that there were several people out there. Just you and Lieutenant Gallagher.
Yes, that's why I was confused by the team.
All right. And again, Lieutenant Gallagher didn't tell you that he never saw John O'Keefe's body in place.
No, I don't think so.
You did document in your report that the items that you noted on your diagram that we just looked at a few minutes ago, those were found by the CERT team, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated in your report that the members of the CERT team located a secret Nike sneaker that's noted on your report. Is that right? On your
Correct.
diagram, right?
Yes.
You also indicated that, quote, in the same area, 2 red plastic pieces and 1 clear piece of plastic of a taillight was discovered.
Oh, I
Yes.
gotta.
So your report is clear that
We gotta just make that a quote too. I was training someone. I mean, not as funny as the other ones, but God, this guy was training people. Yikes. Oh man, this just keeps getting better and better. See the things that you pick up on when you go back and actually watch through these and listen to it again. You pick up on a lot of things that I forgot about.
Items discovered by the CERT team on January 29th were a shoe, right?
Yes.
A partial glass.
Excuse me.
Correct?
Well, it was that on there. I can't remember if that's on their diagram or if that's what I was told at the scene, but yes,
Sure.
yes.
You knew that a cup was found.
Yes.
You told us that.
Oh, we got
And
Lauren
3 pieces
PI
of
in the
plastic,
chat.
2
How
red,
are
1
you?
blue.
Yes.
Not
Lauren PI in the chat. If you didn't go back, watch my stream with Lauren, the private investigator. We did a great live the other day. You can go back and watch that on the replay. And she gave us kind of she gave us the lowdown on what PIs do when they take on clients like Karen Reed. I can't believe I just used the lowdown. Unreal. I literally just said the lowdown.
5 pieces of plastic.
Correct.
You then measured those items, is that right?
I didn't. What do you mean measure them? Like
Measured
at
them
the
relative to John O'Keefe's final place of rest. 10 feet from it, 12 feet from it. When you go over the numbers.
yes, I used their report to place those items onto my diagram.
So, and I'm going to get to that question in just a second. I want to make sure that we walk through it sort of methodically. You then use some calculation, some tool or something to measure distances. Like there's where I assume John O'Keefe's body was. There's a final rest place. I'm going to use that as point A, and then I'm going to measure from there and go 7 feet to where the shoe was found, or the first red plastic piece was found, or whatever, right?
Yes.
Who told you where the pieces were found?
They were in Lieutenant Tully's report. He put measurements in his report.
Okay.
That's scary.
And you noted that the shoe was 9 feet.
Yes.
And you put that in your diagram.
Oh,
Correct.
thank you.
You noted that the glass cup.
Thank you.
was
Thank
1
you.
foot.
Thank you. Yes,
John
we're on the
O'Keefe's
eve
body,
of my birthday. A couple more hours and it will be midnight here. And then we're going to have a fun day tomorrow. Lauren's going to be up in the studio. Not that Lauren, but my friend Lauren from DC will be in the studio. We're going to have a pizza party. We're going to have cake. We're going to watch the Jennifer McCabe testimony and rip on that. And we're going to have some fun. You got to come over and join us. She'll be live here in studio sitting right next to me. So that'll be awesome. All right, let's keep playing.
Correct.
1 foot.
Super Traul.
About that long, right?
Yes. It was. They basically said I was found next to him.
Right.
Thank
Yes.
you.
A piece of red plastic 7 feet from John O'Keefe's body, correct?
Correct.
A clear plastic piece 10 feet from John O'Keefe's body, right?
Yes.
And a red plastic piece 12 feet from John O'Keefe's body, correct?
Correct.
What part of his body were you measuring from?
Like center of mass.
So he
Yeah,
said
we're going to have pizza and
Yes.
cake.
Did
Yep.
Lieutenant Gallagher tell you where his center mass was?
No, I measured from. He just said he was here, so I tried to put like where his head, where his feet, and try to measure the middle between those two.
So ultimately, because Lieutenant Gallagher was not at the scene when he was found, Lieutenant Gallagher had to sort of guess where the body was found, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You had no photographs.
She was there. Yep.
Correct?
Correct.
There were no establishing shots. There were no perspective shots, correct?
Correct.
There were no relative shots, meaning this is relative to that. I can measure that and figure out distances, correct?
It comes
Like from the picture.
Yeah, so you know how that's done in science, right? You want to find out a relative position of something, so you take 2, 3, or 4 shots. You know that something is never going to move, like, I don't know, a flagpole. You can measure from there.
Sure.
You get cross coordinates, right?
Sure.
Left and right, and where the 2 coordinates match, that's where the item is, right?
Correct.
None of that was done, right?
From the pictures.
None of that was done to do your measurements.
Oh my God.
I used the measurements from. I measured on my diagram in itself, and I measured from those points off my diagram.
Right, but the starting point was a guess, wasn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you have to sort of guess at where you thought John O'Keefe's body was?
Oh my.
I didn't guess where his body was.
Did you guess at his center of mass?
Objection.
Lauren's going to bring the cake.
I did not guess.
Next question.
This guy's just melting. His soul left his body. Look at him.
You stated in your report that you Google mapped Miss Reed's path of travel. Well, let me ask you a different question. If I could withdraw that question with court permission.
Yes.
Your diagram has all those arrows pointing.
So essentially what I mean AJ was saying is there is like you didn't determine any of this from the scene. Like you didn't go out and measure from the scene. He's like, no, I just used my diagram. Really? And that's what he was saying. Like, how did you coordinate center mass? And he's like, yeah, well, I use my diagram. Well, why wouldn't you use, and he's like, well, how would you coordinate that? And then just basically going back to using a non-movable object, the flagpole, use that as your starting point. And that's what he's getting at here. You just literally went out and you guessed. You just did some fuzzy math on a diagram and went, oh yeah, this is how all these pieces landed, and this is where the point of impact was. It makes no sense. I mean, I sit here and look at this jury. I'm like, how did you even say that this guy was credible? Oh,
At specific locations, very, very specific, very thin arrows point, correct?
Yes.
If you start off with an incorrect assumption,
real quick, I just want to get this in. Caroline, thank you so much. $15 on the Cash App. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That'll go towards some pizza tomorrow. We're gonna have a pizza party in here.
about where John O'Keefe's body was, right? Hypothetically, if you were to start off with an incorrect assumption where John O'Keefe's body was, every single item that you note on that diagram would then be off as well, wouldn't it?
Objection.
Is that true?
I mean, I guess hypothetically, depends on how off you want to be.
I'm gonna say this spot. You never even been there.
The answer is yes, right?
Hypothetically.
Oh, hypothetically.
You stated in your report that you Google mapped Miss Reed's path of travel on January 29th, based on what you determined to be, quote, it's likely the two, and you said that it's, quote, it's likely that the two events, meaning the triggering events, occurred at the same time the Lexus was at 34 Fairview at the time of the collision, correct?
Yes.
The first triggering event was what? Was it a 3-point turn or I thought I heard you say that.
I guess it would be more, 3-point turns, essentially, I guess it's a 3-point turn.
Okay.
Yes.
What did you say U-turn on Friday? I just want to hear that.
It could have been a U-turn. I mean, it's still turning around. So you got to make a U-turn when it's a 3-point turn or not, but it's still.
Okay, but I mean, not to be picky, but it's sort of my job.
Okay.
A U-turn, traveling in one direction, turn, right? Turning the wheel, never changing gear, it's just reverse or anything, just turn, right? A 3-point turn requires moving forward, stopping, changing gears, moving backward, stopping, changing gears, using steering input, and then moving off, correct?
Correct.
Well, those are two very different maneuvers, right? You agree?
It's, in a sense, I was trying to say she made a
Oh,
U-turn.
nice.
You can say they made a U-turn.
I'll be right back.
It's a 3-point turn. They're still making a U-turn. And I didn't mean it as like she literally had to make a direct U-turn. She was turning around. And obviously the diagram, or the trigger shows a 3-point turn.
Well, I mean, I guess you could have said reversing direction, right?
That would have been a better way to say it, yes.
You didn't say that. You said U-turn. So are you changing your testimony from Friday that it was a 3-point turn, or could it possibly have been a U-turn?
It's a 3-point turn.
Okay, because you have evidence of the starting, stopping, changing gears, reversing, stopping, changing gears, turning.
That's correct.
So when you said U-turn, that was inaccurate.
Objection, Your Honor.
The objection sustained.
Let's get back to the path of travel when you began your analysis. How did you know what the Lexus's path of travel was that day?
I got the directions from Trooper Proctor.
And what did Trooper Proctor tell you in terms of the path of travel specifically? Starting point and an ending point, tell you the exact path Lexus traveled.
No, all I got was mostly just the addresses.
Okay, so if you've got 2 points on a map, and Trooper Proctor told you Lexus traveled from point A to point B, there are multiple ways to get from point A to point B. You agree with that, right?
Yes.
You picked one of those, right? The path of travel includes 3 ways, etc., right?
Yes.
But as you sit here,
Caroline, I got a question. Were you the one that I talked to about insurance before? Was I directed to you about insurance? Let me know in the chat, because I think I've spoken to you before. It might be the right one, the right Caroline. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But let me know. I think I spoke to you before.
you don't know what her actual path of travel was, because it could have been something different, right?
It could have been something. That's why I gave a range on my diagram.
Do you have any scientific evidence to establish what her actual path of travel is, or did you just guess at the path of travel?
I got the addresses from Trooper Proctor. I put them into the thing, and one of the possibilities of 36 miles, and that was after looking at.
I put him into the thing. We got to put that one down, right? All right, here we go. We got crime scene and stuff. We got stuff. We got the lowdown. Definitively, it just did. The pedestrian thing, the crime scene spoke to him. I never said that in my thing. I was training someone. That's horrifying. And I put it into the thing. Holy smokes.
Problem at 36 miles is a possibility.
Right. Understood. So that's what I'm trying to get to.
Yes.
Okay.
Paulisms. I love it.
36 miles,
These are great.
one route of travel, right?
Correct.
There are other possibilities, right?
I love that.
Yes.
So between and among the possibility that you picked and the other possibilities, you just sort of have to guess. And there's no science to it. You said, I'm going to pick that one.
Yes.
Right?
No, that's not how that worked.
Okay, why don't you tell me how that works?
Her odometer mileage on the car from the download and time we had the vehicle shows 36 miles. So when I plugged those addresses into Google, it came up as 36 miles as a possibility.
And you knew that there was another route of travel to the same location, correct?
What do you mean?
There were all.
Yes, I think you. Yeah. Okay. All right. Real quick. I'm having like a conversation with Caroline. Caroline says, yes, I did. Did we actually talk? I can't remember, but we might have, because I talked to there was 2 Carolines. Okay. Do you know my ex-girlfriend? Let's just say that. Do you know my ex-girlfriend? And that will probably sum all this up.
Alternative routes of travel to the same 2 points. From and to the same point, correct?
Yes. Yes.
You could have tried to extract the location data from the street's cell phone to determine the exact route of travel, correct?
I don't know. I don't have access to do cell phone extractions.
So that answers my next question. You did not even attempt to do that, did you?
No.
You did attempt to analyze the key cycles for the Lexus in order to determine placement of that vehicle. You just talked about that with Mr. Lauber, right?
Yes.
I want to be clear for the jurors because most people have probably never heard of key cycles. A key cycle does not have any location data associated with it whatsoever, does it?
Correct.
It just shows you when a vehicle is turned on, ignition is on, and off. That's one cycle, correct?
No.
Tell me what I've got wrong.
Key cycle, the car doesn't have to be turned on.
Say that again.
It goes from off to run. The engine doesn't have to be started to off.
Understood. So if it turns on, well, every single ignition is a key cycle. Every time the engine turns on, that's absolutely a key cycle. Once it's turned off again, right?
That gets recorded as an ignition cycle.
Right. So a key cycle can be an ignition cycle, but it doesn't have to be an ignition cycle. It also can be just turning the sort of accessory on.
Right.
The key cycles turn the accessories on.
All right. But it doesn't. My question was, where we started with this conversation, is it does not have any location data on it whatsoever.
Correct.
All right. So when you drive your car, you walk out, get in the car, turn the ignition on, start to drive, get your location, turn it off. That's one key cycle, right?
One ignition cycle.
But and I'm going to use the word key cycles because you use the word key cycles in your report. That's what we're talking about.
I'm using that because that's how the trigger was read.
That's how what?
The triggers were read on the text stream. That's how they read them. Key cycles.
By key cycles.
Yes.
I'm going to use that phrase key cycle.
Okay.
We're talking about the same thing. It's an ignition on, ignition off cycle.
Doesn't have to be on.
So you mean the engine doesn't have to be turned on?
Correct.
Right. But if you're seeing triggering events, I'm trying to be tricky here. Seeing triggering events, your car's in motion. What does that tell you? The ignition's on or off?
The ignition is on.
Right. That's what I'm getting to. But it has no location data associated with whatsoever. It could be here. It could be in Wyoming. The car wouldn't know the difference. It's not going to report the difference to you, correct?
On the key cycle,
Correct.
on just the key cycle.
Yes.
The key cycle does not give out locations.
Say that again?
The key cycle does not give a location.
Right. So your analysis is trying to go from a known key cycle that you can figure out and then work backward from there to try to figure out where the car was on a particular ignition cycle or key cycle, correct?
I didn't use the key cycle to put it back.
Say that again?
I did not use the key cycle to place the car back in its location. The key cycles were, all I got from the key cycles is that they occurred close within proximity to the time we've had the vehicle, not basically saying that this was the location based off the key cycle.
Well, let's look at Exhibit 591. with the court's permission.
Okay.
You testified on Friday that this is a copy of the exhibit that was put in 591. This is part of your report, correct?
Yes, it is.
And this is a chart that shows when move to this arrow. That arrow indicates top and bottom where your testing occurred, correct?
Yes.
And you move over to the left. That's key cycle what?
1164.
Right. So you've testified, and you can turn the lights on. You're all right. I don't mind if that stays up. You can turn the lights on. I don't think it hurts anything. You stated in your report that there were, quote, 2 triggers recorded on odometer 12629 and key cycle 1162, correct?
Yes.
These events were prior to the testing triggers on odometer readings 12665/12666 and at key cycle 1160. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying in that report is the triggering events were 1162, going in reverse in order. 1162 comes before 1164. They're numerical. Is that right?
Interpol.
Yes.
Every
Okay.
single key cycle just tags another number on top of it, right? There's no formula.
Correct.
After 1 comes 2, after 2 comes 3, 4, 5, 6, and then move on, right?
Yes.
So by the time you got the vehicle, there had been 1,164 key cycles on the history of that car, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you knew, when you put in your report, the triggering events that you see under 1164, those are yours.
That's not me. That's the court camera.
And clear that you recorded, that you talked to Mr. Lally about, were 2,
Court camera.
Yes.
meaning ignition cycles at least, right?
Yes.
Jeez.
Stated in your report, let me finish,
Gosh, it was bad, huh?
and the triggers that occurred while testing was 36 miles. You just said that, right?
Yes.
And the key cycle difference was exactly 2 key cycles, right?
Yes.
1164, 1163, 1162. That's the triggering events, correct?
That's correct.
You also reiterated in your report in paragraph 23, 24, 26, and 29, and also in this exhibit in your CARS report, that the triggers occurred at key cycle 1162, right?
Yes.
You were assisted in your CARS report. I think you mentioned Trooper Zach Clark. Is that right?
Yes.
Trooper Proctor assisted to a certain degree, correct?
Yes.
Trooper Carol Lorini, is that right?
Yes.
Also, Sergeant Sean Good, Canton PD, assisted as well, correct?
Yes, in a sense.
Did they all read the report before it was finalized?
No.
Did you have any supervisor read the report before it was finalized?
Yes.
And he agreed with the assessments in the report?
Yes.
So in summary, everybody that read the report and you who authored the report believed, and it's reflected in that report, that key cycle 1162 contained the 2 triggers that you're talking about, right?
Yes.
That's the 3-point turn, I guess now a 3-point turn, right? Changing direction, and then
Yes.
the reverse at 24 miles per hour, correct?
Correct.
And you even went on and testified to that exact thing under oath in front of the state grand jury, correct?
Yes. Wait, hold on. I need the text streams?
On the key cycles.
Not in grand jury.
Okay. Testified to it on direct examination on Friday and again this morning.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I mean, I look at
Testing
the key
occurred at key
cycles.
cycle 11.
I'm trying not to talk that much because I want to hear the testimony again and kind of pick out all the ridiculousness of this. But I mean, I'm just looking at it, it was confusing for me. It still is a little bit confusing for me. I understand what the process of what AJ is trying to explain. And I understand the process of all those key cycles and the turn cycles of when Karen's, SUV was picked up, when it was loaded on the flatbed, when it was brought into the Sally port. I understand all that. But just think about it. If it's confusing to you, just even first listening to this during 1.0, and it's still confusing to you now, can you imagine what it was doing to a jury? Because this gets pretty scientific.
1164, that means you turn the engine on
Excuse me.
to start your testing, correct?
Correct.
And that triggering event that we see up there at 1164 initiated your testing, all right?
Yes.
All right. So that 1164
exactly.
is that's where there's no more unknowns, in other words, right? You know exactly where the car is, who's in the car, who turned the car on, and what the triggering events were and what they reflected, because you did it, correct?
Correct.
It's you.
Yes.
So that would be the cornerstone, basically, of your entire analysis of key cycles.
Say again.
The cornerstone. In
Like-
other words, the one known that is immovable, it's immutable, is 1164 began your testing. Is that right?
Objection.
Is that right? I'm going to allow the question.
Yeah, that's when the car was in state custody.
All right. So starting in 1164 and counting backward, before you started your testing, you know that the SUV had to be started, the ignition had to be turned over, and it was driven to the Sally Port in Canton at 5:31 p.m. from a tow truck on January 29th, correct?
I didn't know that.
You did or did not?
Did not know that.
Okay. Assuming that the car had to be started and put on a tow truck, that would be key cycle what?
I don't know how. I can't speak to the fact that recorded a key cycle at that time.
I can't hear you.
I can't speak to the fact that we record a key cycle at that time.
Okay. If the car was turned on and driven onto a tow truck, would that be a key cycle?
I don't know because these keys record different ways, so I can't speak to how or why it did not record on there. All I can speak to is that those are the key cycles. The odometer mileage is more what I was going after on this whole thing.
Trooper Paul, you just said unequivocally, when a car is turned on and then turned off, there's a key cycle.
It's key cycle.
I said when the car without the ignition on, that's a key cycle.
Right.
That's correct.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean, when it's turned on, when the engine turns on.
That's the definition of what it is. I can't speak to why I didn't go on, why I did not record.
Well, let's talk about the ignition cycle
It's
Okay.
too much.
before 1164. Okay.
Okay.
Obviously, the car had to get to Canton PD because you saw it there, correct?
Correct.
Assume for purposes of my question, the car was turned on, and there's a video of it turning on, driving up onto a flatbed tow truck.
Yes.
That would be ignition cycle. I mean, use your word, key cycle, ignition cycle, 1163, correct?
Again, ignition cycle, key cycles are two different things.
Which word do you want me to use?
If you want to talk about key cycles, key cycles. If you want to talk about ignition cycles, it's ignition cycles when the vehicle gets turned on. A key cycle does not mean to be turned on.
But every single ignition cycle includes a key cycle. You can't have an ignition cycle without a key cycle, correct?
Well, if you want to talk about it, just use the key cycles or ignition cycles. I'm trying to make sure this gets out. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make sure that this gets put out the correct way.
Every ignition cycle includes a key cycle, correct?
In a sense,
By definition, it has to.
it doesn't have to. They record multiple different ways.
You can have an ignition cycle without a key cycle.
I don't know how it recorded, but it could happen.
Explain that. How could that possibly happen?
Because a key cycle is when it turns on, not engine running, and then turns off.
Okay, so work with me here.
Ignition cycle is when it turns on, engine running for 2 seconds, and then comes off.
Okay, so
Or the 2 seconds is not on long enough, it might not record one.
let's ignore the 2 seconds.
Okay.
That's not what we're doing.
Okay.
All right. Let's assume that it's an old-fashioned type of key.
Okay.
Halfway on, the electricity is on. It's like it used to be called ACC.
Yes.
accessories, Right?
Yep.
That's a key cycle, correct?
For that intensive purpose, yes. This vehicle's not a key cycle. So not a
Then you
thing.
keep turning,
Okay.
and that turns the engine on, right?
It turns the engine on, correct.
An ignition cycle.
Yes. Well, then turns
Every
off.
single ignition cycle necessarily includes the precursor key cycle, correct? Even though every key cycle might not include an ignition cycle. Would you agree with that?
Right.
In that scenario, yes.
I get it.
Fine.
Yep.
With that definition,
Yeah,
I
I
want to
get
talk
it.
about ignition cycles because I don't want to get confused about accessories. Just assume the engine.
Okay.
turns on, right?
Okay.
If you started your testing at 1164, then if the engine was turned on, thereby initiating a key cycle, driving the car onto a flatbed truck, and then hauling it over to Canton PD, that would be key cycle 1163 in that hypothetical, correct?
It could be.
Okay. Then going backward from there,
Yeah. That would be
the
interesting.
SUV was. I'm sorry. Let me add one event that I just forgot. It had to get off the tow truck in Canton and be
Excuse me.
into the Sally Port. Did you ever see that video?
So if you keep in your scorecard here, we have some Trooper Paulisms that we started at the beginning of the show, and I'll read some of them off to you so we can kind of laugh out loud to the class. So we have crime scene stuff. We have stuff. He likes that word a lot too. The lowdown definitively says that a lot. It just did. The pedestrian thing. The crime scene spoke to him. I never said that in my thing. I was training someone Oh God. And I put it into the thing. Okay. All right. Let's go.
No.
Being driven in.
No.
If there was a video showing that the car was actually driven into the sally port, that would necessarily be a key cycle, correct?
Possibly.
Okay, so that would be key cycle 1163. My mistake. I was missing one, right?
Okay.
Before that, if the car was turned on and driven onto the flatbed to get to Canton, that would be key cycle 1162 in order, correct? We're going back.
It's possible.
All right. Before that, if the car was started and the car was driven from One Meadows Avenue to Karen Reed's parents' home in Dighton, that would be another key cycle, 1161, correct?
They're possible.
Before that, if the SUV was started and driven by Miss Reed from the garage at John O'Keefe's house to Jennifer McCabe's house at 5:07 in the morning, that would be another key cycle, correct? 1160. Isn't that right?
It's possible.
And before that, if the SUV was started and driven by Miss Reed to the waterfall, from the waterfall to 34 Fairview at approximately 12:15 a.m., that would be another key cycle, 1159, right?
It's possible.
I want to be clear. The reason that these numbers skip in your diagram, they don't go directly in order, right? Every single number is in order on this left-hand column, because this is only a diagram of when triggering events occur, right?
Yes.
Something unusual about the operation of the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And it's clear that from the data, there was no triggering event at key cycle 1159, was there?
No.
Oh, Karen liked that answer.
So assuming the driving events that I just told you, right? Assuming for purposes of my question, that the driving events started at 11:59, driving over to 34 Fairview from the waterfall. Then driving at 5:07 in the morning over to Jen McCabe's house, 11:60. Then driving to Dighton, her parents' house, 11:61. Then the car being seized in Dighton by Trooper Proctor, 11:62. Then the car being taken off the flatbed and driven into the sally port,
Karen knows.
11:63. Your testing starts at 11:64. That would mean that at 11:62, that key cycle would include the time in which Trooper Proctor had possession of that car, correct?
No.
Assuming my hypothetical.
Your hypothetical?
Yes.
If that's hypothetically how it works, then yes.
Then what?
If that's hypothetically how it works, then yes.
On June 9th, 2022, you were asked by a grand jury whether you knew or had done any scientific testing to determine the distance a body would actually travel
Gotcha.
struck by a vehicle. Remember that?
Not that specifically. Not in that way.
Do you remember answering that you had not, I'm just paraphrasing, that you had not done you hadn't finished your report yet?
Why don't you show him? He said he didn't remember it that way.
Excuse me. Whew. It's a big cough. He is nervous Nelly.
May I?
Yes.
Take a look at middle of the page. Your answer starts at about line 12, but the question above it is probably informative. You have that in mind?
Yep.
May I?
Yes.
You asked, does that remind you that you were asked by a grand jury if you could calculate how far a body would move having been struck by a vehicle?
Yes.
And you indicated, quote, yeah, there's certain calculations we can do with that. Would figure out if you say if the car backed up, hit somebody, and then they go a certain amount of distance, and it's based on miles per hour, the speed of the vehicle, the striking vehicle, and stuff. You know what I'm saying that?
And stuff.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot it. We got to add this one too. And stuff. He says stuff a lot, but and stuff. We got to put that one in there too. So right now we got crime scene stuff, the lowdown. Definitively, it just did the pedestrian thing. The crime scene spoke to him. I never said that in my thing. I was training someone. God help us. I put it into the thing and stuff. I love it.
What did you mean by
Paul,
stuff?
Trooper Paulisms.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You said that the calculations would be based on miles per hour and stuff. Did you ever do a stuff to test that? This is the grand jury's question.
No, we cannot calculate anything from this collision.
Say that one more time.
We cannot calculate anything from this collision.
Who's we?
I mean, sorry, me. The role me.
Well, you know John O'Keefe's weight, right?
What's that?
You know John O'Keefe's weight, 217 pounds, right?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I don't know his weight. No.
You know the weight of the vehicle?
Yes.
What's the weight of the vehicle, gross weight?
What's the gross weight?
Yeah.
I think it's approximately 7,300 pounds.
Okay. Were you able to calculate the mass of the vehicle?
I did not calculate the mass of the vehicle.
Well, you told the grand jury that you were planning on doing that kind of stuff to calculate how far a person would travel being struck at that speed in a car of that weight. You didn't do those calculations?
No, because the calculations would vastly underestimate the speed of the vehicle.
You testified, again, my report isn't done yet. I'm going to look into it. I'm looking into all that stuff, end quote, correct?
Yes.
There's that word again.
AJ.
It's been more than 2 years since that statement at the grand jury. Is your report finished?
Yes, it is.
Did you engage in any of those calculations?
I looked into it. This type of collision I would not be able to use the formulas for this type of collision.
Well, let's talk about those formulas. How would you calculate how far a body at rest would travel after being struck
Uh-oh.
by an object in motion? How would you calculate that?
Whoops.
In pedestrian collisions, I use the Searle formula, Searle throw formula.
What formula?
Searle.
What does that mean?
It's a type of formula that we use for a calculation of post-impact
So
or speeds for pedestrians.
that includes certain principles of physics to calculate that, right?
What do you mean?
I'm sorry?
What do you mean by certain forms of physics?
There would be physics calculations that would be required to figure out how far a body at rest would move having been struck by an object in motion.
Right.
That's a basic principle. Of
Yeah, I guess you could say though.
All right. Can you describe for the jurors exactly what calculations you would need to employ to determine how far a body at rest would travel having been struck by an object in motion?
So in this scenario, in this collision, it's more of a side swipe. So he did not he did not get enough speed of the vehicle post impact with the vehicle to be able calculations. His center of mass was offset from the vehicle. So we would vastly underestimate his speed. So that's why I did not do a formula. If he was more in line with behind the vehicle, he would have been projected forward, and using that projection forward, he would have been able to get more closer to the actual speed of the vehicle there in that post-impact travels.
Well, that presumes a couple of things, Paul. That presumes that he was quote unquote sideswiped, right? Presumed by you. You didn't see how he was hit, did you?
Based on the evidence, it appeared to be a side swipe.
That's your opinion.
That's just reading the evidence.
You're saying that the principles of physics as we know them today in modern mathematics is thwarted by a sideswipe.
Gosh.
Objection.
Is that what you're saying?
It's the calculations that are out there. You can get a speed, it will just underestimate the speed.
You would have to know what the initial momentum of the object is that's in motion, correct?
Of what object?
The truck, Paul.
I would have to know that speed.
Yeah, you'd have to know what the initial momentum is, not speed, momentum. There's a difference,
Okay.
right? Would you agree with that?
AJ shredding
No.
this guy right now.
You wouldn't have to calculate what the initial momentum is of the object in motion to determine the distance of the body at rest would move?
Well, now in that sense, are we talking about trying to find the speed of the vehicle? That's usually what we're trying to do.
Right, okay, well, let's put the speed of the vehicle aside. Let's talk about initial momentum. What's the formula for calculating initial momentum?
There's different types of momentum formulas.
Well, there's actually one type of momentum formula. It's to calculate momentum.
Objection.
Sustained.
To calculate momentum, there is a singular.
So sustained. Ask it differently.
Isn't it true, Trooper Paul, that there is a singular calculation for determining initial momentum? That is P equals M times V,
Uh-oh.
where P is the momentum. You're solving for that. M is mass. You multiply that by velocity. Is that right? Pretty simple.
You wouldn't use that in a pedestrian collision.
Oh, because the pedestrian's somehow magically out of the realm of physics?
Objection.
Sustained.
Is a pedestrian out of the realm of physics and calculations?
No, it's the weight differential between the pedestrian and the vehicle.
So if the vehicle is too heavy and the body is too light, you can't calculate the initial momentum of the vehicle?
Yes.
Got it.
It
Where'd you
is
learn that?
brutal.
It's in my math class. We don't use momentum for vehicle to vehicle.
Math class?
The math,
Oh, we're gonna add that one. That's a slip. It's in my math class. Uh-oh. So we got the crime scene stuff, the lowdown. Definitively, it just did the pedestrian thing. The crime scene spoke to him. I never said that in my thing. I was training someone. Oh God. I put it into the thing and stuff. It's in my math class. Woo. Brutal. Brutal. Trooper Paulisms. All right, let's go.
the crash reconstruction classes I have taken.
Got it. Would you need to apply the theory of conservation of momentum in calculating these data?
Do I need to calculate the conservation of momentum?
Or calculation, conservation of momentum?
Yes.
You know what that is? There's an equation for that as well, right?
Yes.
You know what that is?
Not off the top of my head, but yes.
Based on the basic principles of
Excuse
physics,
me.
is the
Oh,
total
he's
momentum
nervous.
of the collision greater or less than the total momentum after the collision? Total momentum before the collision, is it greater or less than the total momentum after the collision? Basic question.
What type of collision?
Trooper Paul, they're exactly equal in all respects under the principles of physics, right? That's the theory of the conservation of momentum. Momentum doesn't change. It's
Yes.
transferred from one body to another,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
Why didn't you say that to the jurors?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Trooper Paul, if you were qualified to, quote, look into all this stuff, you would probably know these answers, wouldn't you?
Objection.
Sustained.
Are there any other calculations that you need to figure out the stuff that you were talking to about with the grand jury?
Objection.
Sustained.
How about calculating the final velocity of the objects after the collision? Would that be important?
What objects?
That would be John O'Keefe's body, sir.
You,
Object
I don't.
that you claim was flying through the air 30 feet.
Okay,
Objection.
sustained.
How about calculating the displacement?
Yeah, we
using
got that one in
kinematic
there.
equations? Would you be able to do that?
The displacement of the body.
In order to calculate how far the body would move based on the
God.
mass of the object striking the body, could you use displacement using kinematic equations?
So, like I said before, the side swipe, he would not have gotten 100% of the vehicle, 100% of the speed of the striking vehicle. It would have vastly underestimated this vehicle. You couldn't hit a person and side swipe them, spin them off to the side, and have that and get a speed from those calculations.
So you're saying that the discipline of physics cannot figure out how far John O'Keefe's body would move, but you personally figured out that he would have flown now somewhat, or been projected somewhat 30 feet.
Objection.
All right?
Sustained.
Are you saying that the principles of physics are incapable of determining with the proper calculations how far John O'Keefe's body would have moved given the collision at issue?
Objection.
Is that what you're saying, Trooper?
No.
Okay, next question.
Well, you just said because it was a side swipe, all these calculations, these physics calculations are inapplicable, right?
What I'm saying, it would underestimate the speed and the distance.
The truth is, Trooper Paul, you have no idea what all these physics calculations mean, do you?
Objection.
Sustained.
You've not been trained in physics formally, have you?
Yes.
You have been,
It's incorporated into the classes.
right? You have a few classes that use the word physics, but you haven't been formally trained in physics. Have
Objection.
Sustained.
you? You haven't been formally trained in kinematics, correct?
It's in the aspects of all our crash reconstruction classes.
You haven't been formally trained and hold no degrees in biomechanics, do you?
I do not have a degree in biomechanics.
In fact, basically what you did in this case was calculated emission cycles. And you got those wrong, right?
Objection.
Sustained. Come on, Mr. Jackson. Ask the appropriate part of the question and you'll get it.
Let me ask you
The
this.
answer's not in that
Based on your
bottle.
Reconstruction, nearly 2-year investigation. Exactly how was that taillight shattered? Explain it to us.
How does the taillight?
Uh-oh.
It gets so the taillight in this case was shattered when it was struck
Here
John
we
O'Keefe's
go.
arm.
Exactly what part of his arm?
Here we go.
Based on what I saw for his injuries, was from the upper part of his arm down.
Was his arm out? And it just struck the arm like a hinge? Was it in front of him?
Here we go.
Reconstruction?
It look-
Shows exactly how his body was positioned when he was struck by that.
So it looks like his arm was more kind of like this. If I can try to get that.
You're indicating out by his side, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the tail light would have struck his arm, right?
Yes.
Not his torso.
Yes.
Okay. So the full mass, the full weight of that truck hit him basically at the elbow. Is that right?
No,
Missing his
no.
torso.
I said yeah, from upper part of the arm
Right,
down.
at
Yeah.
the elbow and the biceps.
I didn't see anything that shows an indication that this lower torso was struck, but
Okay. So his torso,
it's not saying it could not have been a possibility, but I just didn't see anything.
so his torso was spared from being hit, but the arm took the brunt, the full force of the vehicle, correct?
Like arm and shoulder. Yes.
Okay. And you said he then did a spin,
Uh-oh.
like a sort of a pirouette.
He got spun around possibly the way it struck. It looked like it could have turned around counterclockwise.
Okay. So if he turns around counterclockwise, is he turning around in the air counterclockwise?
Yes.
Okay.
Initially.
So he gets hit on the upper biceps, shoulder area, and down to the forearm
Yes.
by an unbroken tail light, right?
Yes.
In other words, it's nice and smooth. No shards of plastic or anything broken at the time that he made contact with his arm, right?
Correct.
Okay. So how did his arm get up there?
When his arm struck the tail light then cracked, and as the car is driving past him, the tail light could scratch it.
Got it. So
Ah.
he gets hit by the car, not his torso, just the arm. The tail light cracks, and as it passes by, his arm stays with it long enough to get striations,
so ridiculous.
scratches, those lacerations. I'm sorry, those abrasions, right?
In a sense, yes.
And at the same time, he does a pirouette and flies 30 feet.
I don't know if he did a pirouette.
Well, I'm using the word pirouette. He spun around.
He started rotating counterclockwise. I don't know how far he ran counterclockwise, but he started to rotate. According to that, would push him to rotate counterclockwise. Whether or not he went counterclockwise all the way to his back toward the ground, it seems like a most likely possibility.
I love the fact that AJ is shaking his head. Like he's not fucking listening to this guy. He's like, all right, yeah, you just keep spitting your bullshit here. Just keep spinning it. And AJ's going, yeah. He's not listening to him.
The fact that his arm is on a hinge.
Uh-oh.
Is what? Say again?
Did you account for the fact in this scenario that you just told the jurors that his arm is on a hinge?
On a
It's called
hinge.
Shoulder,
Yeah.
Okay.
right? So his arm got hit. His arm just swing.
I said arm and shoulder area, so his arm could have been considered part of it.
Even if his shoulder got the upper
Okay.
pointing to his upper biceps.
Mhm.
Right? There's no injuries
If
on
you
his
say
shoulder.
so.
Not a single one. Not even a bruise.
If you
right?
say so.
Like I said, it looked like to me it was from up here. I don't know how far I can back here, but it was up here.
Well,
So
you're the one that talked about his injuries on his arm.
yes.
That's limited to about mid biceps, to about mid forearm, correct?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yes.
No injuries on the shoulder, no injuries on the torso, no injuries on the ribs, no injuries on the back, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
So your theory is you got hit on the arm, took the brunt of the force from the taillight on the arm, stayed with the vehicle long enough
So
for the
ridiculous.
taillight to explode, basically to shatter. Then these striations get on his arm.
That's so ridiculous.
Does pirouette, spin, counterclockwise,
Spin.
flies 30 feet in the air to his point of rest.
Yeah. It happened probably a little faster than that though.
It's so ridiculous. How did fucking jury sit there and go, yeah, that's how it happened. How could anybody on that jury legitimately sit there without shitting their pants laughing and going, yeah, that's how it happened. I had people that didn't even know about what was going on and saw this testimony and was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, you got to be kidding me. People believe that from this guy, his theory. Holy smokes.
I said that's one of the possibilities of when you look at the roadway as he gets spun around counterclockwise. It's a possibility that the curb is there. Any blunt force object on the ground as the ground is pretty blunt.
Well, except in your scenario that you just told us, you flew through the air onto the light dusting of snow, grass, and dirt.
I didn't say through the air.
Say that again.
I didn't say he got thrown through the air.
Okay, I'll use your word. You got projected.
Projected doesn't mean it's not incorporating just throw. Project just means you get pushed forward. There's two parts of that. Just the air, then there's the ground. Like I said earlier, the tumbling, the rolling, whatever that part of the crash would happen. Projecting is just what we call what happens to a pedestrian post-impact with a crash.
Okay, so a couple questions. If his arm, elbow, took the brunt of that entire impact, How do you account for the fact that he didn't suffer a broken bone?
I don't know.
How do you account for the fact that he didn't have a fracture?
Objection.
Sustained.
How do you account for the fact that he didn't even have a bruise on the arm?
Objection.
That's sustained.
Irreproachable.
Yes.
Oh God. Of course, she's gonna keep everything out. Yeah, no problem, Nick. Yeah, I got it. I just texted you back. All good, brother. Nick Rocco in the house. Nick, drop your popcorn link in here. Let's get Karen some popcorn sales. We'll just take a little break here. So again, we're just gonna finish up Trooper Paul. We're on the eve of my birthday. Tomorrow, we're gonna have Lauren DC live here in the studio. We're gonna go through Jennifer McCabe's testimony. We're gonna eat pizza. We're gonna have cake. We're gonna get fat and happy tomorrow. I'll be 47 years old tomorrow. God, man, time is going by so fast. I saw some old friends today, which was great. Oh, by the way, friend of mine, and actually it's part of some of my old friends. My friend Dennis has now opened a new business here in North Attleboro at the old Triborough Plaza. It's called Showcase Reptiles. And if you're looking for the best reptiles in the state of Massachusetts, go see him. I was there today for an hour and a half. The place was absolutely packed. Absolutely packed. So you can look them up online. They have a great Facebook page, Showcase Reptiles. If you're looking for snakes and lizards and all those creepy crawly stuff, check him out. He's a great guy. He's a good friend of mine. And his business is going to do really well.
Yes.
The truth is, Trooper Paul, you know, having investigated auto pedestrian accidents in the past, that John O'Keefe's injuries do not look anything like an automobile pedestrian accident, do they?
Yes, I do.
Trooper Paul, you came to these opinions and conclusions because Trooper Proctor told you.
Britt Happens checking in.
In furtherance of his investigation.
That's not true.
I'm going to pause again really quick here. I was on LV Cops. I actually jumped on with them today, and Britt was over there, and you got to check out that replay. It was great. I got popped on, I don't know, what, 20 minutes or so, Britt. We discussed the tail light, Karen Reed's tail light, and they had her and Gonzo had a great show. I'm planning to get Britt on the show sometime here. We'll have her on and just have her share her story. How did she get involved in covering the Karen Reed case? I'd love to hear about it. So we'll make that happen soon. All right, here we go. Let's keep playing this out. Yeah, we'll do something like that tomorrow. That's a great idea.
Action.
Sustained.
That's it.
All right, jurors will take the morning recess.
That is it. That is it. That is it. That is it. You know, I want to, before we head out here, I want to talk a little bit about, let's see, we're only 148 from the $10,000 goal. Okay. Well, let's do this, Nick. I'm going to donate the $148 right now. Let's do that. I'm going to make that happen. So give me a second. I'm going to get you a $10,000 goal right now. Let's see. So if I give you the 148, that'll get what? The 10 grand in your popcorn or just overall popcorn? Oh man, there's so much good stuff here. Let's see what we got. Thank you, Britt. Appreciate you. What do we got? Tomorrow's my official birthday in about another hour and a half. What kind of good stuff do we have here? Let's see what we got. Let's pick something out. I want to make sure overall. Okay, all right. I'll do the $150 right now. What the fuck? What's the best stuff from here? Oh, I've had this stuff, this popcorn before. This is good stuff. What should we do? Let's do a variety pack. 2 variety packs will get me to $150, right? Right? Am I right? 75 and 75? It's 150, right? You can buy flowers and veggie plants too. No, I want popcorn. There's the link for Karen's defense fund. I'll buy the popcorn right now. All right, let me just pop out. I'm not going to obviously share my information. I do want to talk a little bit about something here before we head out tonight, pertaining to the tomorrow, the Body in the Snow documentary, because a lot of people have been speaking out about this. And let me just put this order in really quick. How the hell do I get to my cat? I want to just give you kind of my 2 cents about it. Where's the cart? It says items added to the cart. All right, here we go. 150. Let's do this. Okay. Let's do that. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to make a quick donation to Nick Rocco. I think for... And then I want to talk about the documentary that's going to air tomorrow. Let's see. No. Hang on. I need my security. Oh, shit. I don't have it. Damn it. This might be it. All right. Let me I'll get that donation through after the So Nick says I got cut from the documentary as well as the fundraising is old news. Is that what I was told? Spent countless hours filming them and helping them out a lot. So here's my take on all of this as well. And I've been sharing more about this, and I know Turtle Boy wrote a story about it. I feel, in my humble opinion in all of this, is that we were duped. We were very, very duped in all of this. And I want to talk a little bit about it because I kind of released a statement about it. And it was funny. Nick and I were just texting about this a second ago. And I want to bring this up, my tweet. So I wrote a tweet here. And I said, Turtle Boy put a huge article out. I got to go through it. I haven't had a time to read it. And I saw kind of the gist of it. And I said, I'll add this. In my opinion, Terry and her team deceived all the creators and supporters they interviewed for the documentary. Before filming, they told us it would be a piece highlighting the Free Karen Read creators and supporters, giving us a chance to share our side of the story. The way it was presented to me is that it was supposed to be very pro Karen Read. So I agreed to participate. However, on February 4th, I received an email from one of the producers stating that, it's that Caitlin Cutt girl that Turtle Boy talks about in the article. The video blogger segment has been cut out from the documentary. And that's where we're now focused. And now they're focusing solely on the case. It feels like they used everyone to gather information to shape their documentary in the way that they wanted. And I truly feel that way. And Nick says, Terry was the one that called me. I get the call from Caitlin, and I can go back and look. The original email that I got, Nick, was on 3/22. And the funny thing is, Caitlin was calling me Brian Hale. She thought it was Brian Hale. And it says in the email, hi, my name is Caitlin Cutt. I'm a TV producer working at a company called Cosgrove Marauder Productions. We're the best known for the long docuseries Unsolved Mysteries. We are here producing a documentary about the Karen Read case, not as part of our series. This is a standalone project. And I can see you've been involved with the case from the jump. I'd love to connect with you about the case and share what our plan is for the project. We're also interested in using some of your content in our documentary. Will you be willing to hop on the phone and talk the case over with me? I can make most times work next week. Looking for hearing from you, Caitlin. And I went back and forth with emails with her up all the way until the last one that I received, 2/5/25, almost a year. Almost a year. And like I said, on 2/4, I got an email that said, hello, Brian. I hope our documentary is coming out soon. I needed to let you know that we have cut the video blogger segment, which includes your interview. It sucks. I know you took a lot of time with us, and it was very much appreciated. Overall, we opted to put more focus on the trial and took up a lot of time. If you're still interested in watching this, you can find it broadcast and streaming information below. Again, I truly appreciate your time that you took for your interview. Terry loved what you had to say, and I know this case has a big impact on your life. Please feel free to let us know if you have any questions. And I fucking asked him. I said, look, you're not using my segment. Give me the video. If you're going to throw it on the cutting room floor, I want to present it to my audience. Oh, no, we can't do that because property rights and this and that. I knew I was going to get that standard answer. But, you sat here, you wasted our time. You told us what the initial project was about. You duped us. We're all out here fighting for Karen. You're here to produce a fucking documentary. That's all you care about. But you took the heart and soul of people that really thought that they could do something good for Karen and get a pro-Karen documentary out there, and then you cut it. And you shape the narrative of your story and use our information to fashion your documentary, your story. I think it's a pretty shitty thing to do. Super shitty thing to do. But you'll see Plevin in it. You'll see the O'Keefes. You'll see all their friends. They'll all be in it. Guarantee you. I guarantee you. So I'm going to do another show on this. I'm going to talk about a lot more about it. I'm going to pull some of the emails and get them together and share all those with you. I did sign a release form, but before I signed it, I actually had a lawyer. Actually, I had Melanie Little look at it, I think. Did I have Melanie look at it? Or my friend Davey actually looked at it. But I asked Melanie Little if she was, that's what it was. I asked Melanie Little if she was being interviewed, and I think that she did do it, if I can remember. But my friend Dave, that has his law license, I had him look at it, and we put some conditions in there. Basically, if this documentary came out and there was lawsuits, that they would be liable, be responsible for it. And that's probably why they cut all of this shit. And the thing that pisses me off is they brought in a bunch of creators, I think it's like TikTok people, to preview this documentary. Of course, they're not going to call all of us, the people actually participated in it, and you threw it on the cutting room floor, because we all would have been pissed. So, I don't know. It's a really shitty thing what she did. I haven't had a time to read over Turtle Boy's article, and I definitely going to be doing another show on this about this week and just put in my 2 cents about it. And I feel like it was just, they just used our stories and used our experiences and shaped that. And it was funny. I remember and I just posted pictures of it because I took a couple of pictures when I was there. Terry said, "Oh, I'm going to just be off camera and speak into the camera. I'm going to ask you questions like I'm being the interviewer. And what's going to happen is when we cut it back and forth, we'll probably just put an interviewer in the chair, and it's not going to be me, or you might hear someone off camera." So it was just interesting. And the risk, and the risk that when I went to go do this and sit down, I literally had to hide myself because I'm out there with everybody at the court hearing. And if I would have just walked into the church, they would have been like, where's he going? Who's he talking to? So I had to go all the way down to the deeds building. They came and picked me up. They threw a blanket over me. We drove in. I had to covert up to get in there. And then I had to covert up to get out and keep this all secret from everybody. I mean, it's fucking 1,000 people out there. So we'll talk more about this. I'll do a show on it. I want to read TB's article, see what he had to say about it, and then I'll add all my 2 cents in all of this. Nick says they came to the hair salon. Yeah, they wanted to come to my studio and shoot in my studio. They're like, "Oh, can we come out and meet you at your studio?" I'm like, "No, I'll come to you." So, look, the people here that have been closest to Karen, you know, that were part of this, supposed to be part of this documentary, and it was supposed to be positive. You know, for Christ's sakes, Nick should have been in it. I don't know how much, if Nick isn't even in it, but you know, we put a lot of time and work into that. And I know a lot of people have been reaching out to me and they're like, it's kind of a shitty thing they did. You know, I'm going to do it. I'm going to watch it tomorrow. I am holding a watch party for it. I'd be curious to see how it turns out, of course, and what they're going to do over the next 3 nights. So if you're curious and you want to watch it with me, I'll drop the link. You just need to sign up and register. And then, you know, this week I'll do, I want to watch it, and then I'm going to do my kind of rebuttal about it. But I'm going to drop the link here in the chat. Nick says, I was told, I think I'm in the last episode for 5 seconds. Ridiculous. If you want to join me tomorrow, it is offline, because if you try to stream it, we're just going to get shut down. But I'm going to do it through StreamYard. You can register. And we did this last time. We had like almost 500, 600 people in the room, and you can watch along with me. I'm going to try to get some other people on with me to watch this and react to it. So click on the link. You can register. Just make sure you use your YouTube screen name when you register, so we're not getting your real name in there. I don't think you have to add an email address or anything like that. And then tomorrow we'll start the stream up at 8:45 and do a watch party. So I am getting tired. I'm going to head out. I have a long day tomorrow. Nick, I promise I'm going to make that popcorn sale. I'm just going to run out to my car right there outside the window, get my credit card, and do that $150 for you. So we'll get you there. All right, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. with Lauren DC live here in studio. We're going to have a birthday party in here for me. We're going to have some pizza and get cake and get fat and happy and watch Jennifer McCabe's brilliant testimony. But thank you all for being here. I love you all. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody. Peace. Oh.